Thatcher, he said, well, I've never seen the movie. And so we went on from there. I thought, damn it. I said to Frankie, I said, wish you'd have told me that back then. I'd have bought the movie and showed it to him, right? So, but you know yourself, right? It's about it's the right place at the right time. If it happens or it don't. It's not necessarily whether you're talented or not talented. It's just whoever decides this is the time.
Beautiful. That was, of course, JC was or Jimmy was sending Dad programs with what the houses were, and Park Center looked like it was sold out every time. I think they did send us some stuff from Richmond. I think he got some stuff from Richmond. And everywhere he was keeping Dad up to date because for whatever reason, he wanted Dad in the wrestling business really bad, or Dad wanted to be in the wrestling business real bad. Maybe contacted him. Just tremendous. Now, what was your first? What was your feeling was when you had your first TV match? That was what I was going to ask you earlier.
That would have been in 1962 in Indianapolis, Indiana. I left Boston. I got married in Boston in 1961, and left, and so came back to Ohio. And obviously, I want to go on, but I'm not sure what the steps are, right? I mean, I'm watching wrestling on television. Where do I contact these and so forth? So anyway, I saw Emile Dupree on Barnett's television. And I had met him through Tony Santos in Boston. He'd come in and work some shots for Tony. So I went to Cincinnati Gardens the next time he was on the show and waited outside the dressing room until he came out. So we connected. And he gave me the address of the office in Indianapolis, Les Ruffin's name, and said, send him a resume and pictures. So I did. And a few weeks later, my phone rings in Cincinnati. Is this Leslie Milady? Yes. This is Les Ruffin with the Barnett Doyle, blah, blah, blah. Are you 21? Yes, sir. I'm 21. And you got proof? Yes, sir. I do. Okay. We'd like to use you on TV this Saturday in Indianapolis. Can you make it? Yes, sir. I'll walk. I didn't say that, but I'll walk if I have to. Are you kidding me? So I go to Indianapolis and I walk in the dressing room. And in front of me are Dick the Bruiser, Fritz von Erich, Angelo Poffo, Joe Blanchard, Art and Stan Nelson. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody here. These are all people I bought tickets to watch, right? Oh, do I belong here? I'm not real sure. Somebody said, what did you do? I said, I went and sat down and minded my own business. I say, because back then you didn't go around shaking everybody's hand. If you were a young guy in a business, you spoke when spoken to.
Sure.
So that was my first two TV matches that weekend were I worked with the Sheik and Angelo.
Oh boy, a double whammy.
Yeah, really. But that was my first TV.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Wow. So and then first, I wanted to ask about your first headlining in the main event. When was that?
Oh, wow. Where would that have been? Trying to think. I guess, honestly, that would have been in Arizona in '66. Now somebody will say, well, obviously you hadn't learned the business, or that's not the case either. One of the things back then is I had this said to me. Jack Briscoe and I had this conversation years ago, and I'll never forget, because we were laughing about it. I don't know how many, when I first started, the first few years of the business, some old guy would say, boy, kid, you're a good worker. Shame you don't look older. And they'd say the same thing. Well, because young guys, like now, you got these, kids that look like they're 17 years old, for God's sakes. Back then, it was about being a veteran, right?
Sure.
So
absolutely.
I thought, well, should I punch myself in the face and look worse?
Growing a beard.
Yeah. But that was part of it too, right?
Sure.
Until you looked mature, they weren't going to push you.
And I still, to that degree, the more mature I pay attention to more so than the younger ones. I really do. And I
Oh,
think
I think so.
and I think that's something with Riddle. He's got that youthful look that at this point you can't really take him seriously in a main event position as of yet, other than a tag team situation, which they
I
do
had the
at this point.
opportunity to work with Riddle at the Monster Factory a few times. Good guy and a good worker. But if he never says the word bro again, I'll be tickled to death.
Well, we can only just if they could just take then flog those riders. We might
If we just bury him someplace.
I want to take a minute just to talk about to show that he was used, ladies and gentlemen, that he was not just somebody that just happened through the territory and occasionally got put on the main event. I'll just go through it a little bit. His credentials. He was the Arizona Junior Heavyweight Champion, Midwest Junior Heavyweight Champion. Who was that with? Midwest Junior Heavyweight Champion.
That was just a couple of small promotions that Hall and Kirby and I worked for, and several of the guys that lived in Indiana and Ohio, right? There were small shows running then. They just didn't try to get noticed too much because the big promoters would end up, Pearl Harboring you or shutting you down if they could. But
then, he was the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions with Danny Miller. That was in '71. Yeah. NWA Tennessee Tag Team Champions. We will not let this one go without talking about them. You were a tag team champion with Whitey Caldwell, and you were also with Dennis Hall. Right. Tell us about Whitey Caldwell.
Wow, what a nice guy. What a hell of a worker and a dear friend. It's great working with him. It's funny when you're segueing it in chronological order. Yeah, there he is. Whitey was just super to work with. When I mentioned the run in Charlotte, about 18 months, right? And so I figured it's time to take a break. Dennis and Kenny Lucas, were in Nashville, where I would have never gone if they hadn't said, you can do all right here, right? I mean, I wouldn't have, but, I cared, I was tight with both those guys, and they said, come on in. So I did. And so that was how I started up here in Knoxville. And actually, I remember it was fair time because my first night in Knoxville in 1968 was out at the old Bill Myers baseball park, which is where John Kazana ran for 2 weeks when the fair was running, right? He'd run at the ballpark. And so that was my start here in Knoxville. And the crazy thing was John didn't have TV at the time. So the only way to promote here was newspaper and posters and word of mouth. And that's something a little sidebar. I tell a lot of these independent promoters, I said, you realize you guys need to go back and look at what happened in the territories when they didn't have TV. You need to look at that and learn how to do posters, free newspapers, whatever, and help yourself out. So anyway, so I a couple spots here, and John Kazana said, I got a local boy here I'd like to team you up with. Now, local, whoa, no, right? and the reason I say that, because up to that time, that most of the when I was a local guy in Ohio, right? You're looking at them lights. That's what you do, right? Until you get, it was rule of thumb. So I'm thinking, I didn't say anything. So I get to see Whitey work. And I thought, damn, good. I'm in, right? I'm happy to be his partner. So we start working as a team. And of course, Ron and Don Wright were the hot heels. And John got TV for the first time in 1969. Whitey and I were the first two baby faces to get over on that TV. The Wrights were the first two heels. And we had a hell of a run here from 1969 till 1970, damn near 71. I
Wow.
wasn't. Yeah, yeah. We I don't know how many times we traded the titles, but we set records here in drawing money too. Um, we had a house at the amphitheater in Chilhowie Park. Uh, Now the crazy thing is, Jacobs Building is a rock's throw from the amphitheater.
Sure.
But John, if it rained, John never thought about moving to the Jacobs Building, just canceled the show. And of course, for us guys that were driving a long distance, that wasn't a cool idea, or we didn't get paid either. So anyway, it was going to be Ron and Don against Whitey and I. We were outdoors. So John comes in. He said, we may have to cancel this show. What? Well, it's raining. It's drizzling now, but it may pick up. So Whitey, I don't know if you've been in that dressing room at the amphitheater at Chilhowie Park.
Yes, I have.
But there's no air conditioning, so the windows are very high, so you can open them all, right? And let air circulate through there. So Whitey was up on a table looking outside. He said, John, before you decide to cancel, you better get up here with me and look out. I climbed up there too. There were two lines at the box office around and down the driveway to the point where we could not see the end of the line, right? And it's raining. Wow. So the deal was, and if you once your main event is in the ring, there's no refunds, right?
Right.
So he ran a preliminary single match out there. What, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then here comes the main event, right? Now, I'll tell you the truth. When I had to work on wet canvas, I always went barefooted because the soles on my wrestling, it was like putting drag racing slicks on a wet pavement, like an ice skating rink, right?
Yeah.
So I took my shoes off. We're out there in that ring. The ring light is swinging back and forth with the ring.
Yes.
You got to look. If I'm going to lock up with you, I got to, because I can't, the rain's going to come straight into my eyes and I can't see you. So we're sitting there. We get in 3 falls. Nobody left, right? That's how hot the angle was.
Well, and back then, really, one match really sold the card anyway.
Yeah.
All the rest were kind of fillers. I mean, they're not to say that they were bad.
Sure.
It's just they only came to see the one match anyway. Back when we were growing up.
Exactly.
So you gave it to them. And so how long would that match go until it rained so hard you couldn't?
I'm going to guess we probably went 20, 25 minutes anyway.
3 falls.
Of course, we were already wet, right? So
Sure.
we couldn't get any wetter.
And the fans were too. So
sure.
Unless it was lightning, I understand this cancel for lightning.
In that same amphitheater, we, as far as I know, the 4 of us still hold the actual attendance record there. Now, Fuller raised the prices, so in terms of box office, we've been beaten several times probably. But in terms of actual asses and seats, I think the 4 of us still hold.
And if you've never been to a wrestling show at the Chilhowie Park, you've really missed something. That is awesome. That outdoors on that stage and that amphitheater is fantastic. We always loved it when it was there. And of course, by the time we were going all the time, this was when Barnett took it over up there, and then later on Georgia. And of course, Ron never ran there. Once Continental was there, but it was a fantastic place. Actually had it set up like you were going to a fair. You get all that fair food there too. We love that. Fantastic place. Yeah. Great atmosphere. Absolutely.
Well, what? Let's face it. You grew up around this with your dad. The smaller venues were actually, they make a joke out of the smoke-filled arenas.
Yes.
Crap. That was what wrestling was made for.
Best place ever. Atlanta City Auditorium, Chattanooga Memorial Auditorium, Knoxville Coliseum, Dothan Farm Center, Pensacola Civic Center. Smaller was better. Shreveport, Louisiana Municipal Auditorium, better than the Superdome ever was. Just a great atmosphere.
Park Center in Charlotte every Monday night.
Sure. I hear that the Park Center is still there in Charlotte. They've renamed it to something else, but it's still there. Now, well, we were going over your championships. We went through Whitey Caldwell. Fantastic. And the fact of the matter is that even to this day, you mentioned wrestling in Knoxville area, and the name that comes up, Whitey Caldwell, Ron
Absolutely.
Wright. Always.
I'll tell you a funny story about how the kind of heat that we had. We're in Morristown. Whitey and I are working with the Wrights, and the ring had no skirt, right? So if you're sitting like in the front row, you could you can see from the other side, under the ring, look at all the structure. So anyway, 4 of us end up in a schmoz in the middle of the ring, and I'm squared off with Ron. Ron says, "Throw me out and follow me." So I pitch him. He goes under the ring. I go out behind him. I follow him under the ring. Excuse me. We get about midway under there. He turns around. He says, "Sell this," and we're throwing a couple of shots. And he pulls a roll of athletic tape out from his trunks, right? And I sell a couple, and he starts taping my neck to the ring support, right?
Yes.
So I'm on my hands and knees. He's facing me on his hands and knees. Now he's looking past me and under his breath saying, "Oh, fuck." And of course, I can't turn around. What? Oh. And so now he starts backing out, right? Not turning around to go out, but backing out. So by the time he's out, now I'm here like this. I'm tied to taped to that ring post. In my peripheral vision, I see a fan, and he's got a knife. So that's what Ron, right?
Oh, my.
So Ron is out and back up into the ring with Whitey and Don at this time. So the guy realized I can't cut him, turned around and said, "I'll get you loose, Les." I said, "I got it, Dave." I'm thinking, knife away from my neck.
Wow.
But
he was coming to get you loose, Les. He felt sorry for you underneath the ring there, all tied up. So John Casetta ran Knoxville. Did he run Johnson City, right?
No,
Johnson City Kingsport?
We worked usually Saturday night was either Morristown or Newport. John ran Greenville occasionally and a couple other small towns, but basically Knoxville every Friday night, and then either Newport or Morristown.
So Saturday. Nobody was running Kingsport at the time?
Yeah, but that was now I'd gone up there out of Nashville, but nothing to do with John. I forget who was. Well, when I first came into Nashville, Dennis Hall moved up there for a while. He was going to be the promoter. Then when Jerry Jarrett came on board, his brother-in-law, that was his first wife's brother, came with him, right? Mm-hmm. And supposedly he was going to go up there and live and promote. That never happened either. So there were.
So Nick was not involved at all in Nashville when you went?
In Nashville? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nick and Roy.
Roy Welch.
Christine was office manager. Nina was there, right? The cast of characters that's been there.
Always. Yeah. All right. So now we're going. We've been to the Carolinas, huge. We've been to the Gulf Coast, huge. We've been to Florida, huge. I mean, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing career. And we haven't got through part of it yet. Here we go. So we're now up to the Tennessee, now the NWA Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion. Who was that for?
That was actually, I was in Atlanta at the time.
So that would be when Jarrett was down there, or?
No, that was still Jarrett. Yeah. Okay. I went back to Charlotte before Jerry had just came in or just coming in. Actually, from Tennessee, I went to Eastern Canada for Rudy Kay up to the Maritime provinces. He ran from April to mid-October, just seasonal, right? And he had been my next door neighbor, and I traveled a lot with him when he was living in Charlotte in 67 and 68. And so he was started running the territory up there in the Maritimes. And he contacted me, wanted me to come in 1970. And so I left Nashville and went up there in April of 70. And first time in my life as a heel. But I was an American in my 30s, which means I must be a draft dodger, right? If you're not in the Army and you're in Canada, you must be a draft dodger.
So how was that different for me? You did, up to this point, you had one position, basically you've been doing all the time. Here they want you to do something completely different. What was your first thought about?
Uncomfortable. I mean, I had never healed in my life, right? Been in the business at that time, for 10 years virtually, and had never healed. But he was going to switch me babyface, but he wanted to bring me in and work, work an angle.
Well, I have found that anybody that does that has been doing one thing for so long. They get to do it's refreshing for them, and it's exciting, and they enjoy the heck out of it. Did you enjoy it as well?
Come see, come saw. It was okay, but it was a learning experience, right?
Sure.
Honestly, I would have preferred to learn to be a heel somewhere else. That was a dangerous place for heels. The Maritimes it was. And crazy Buck Robley.
Yeah.
Stan Pulaski, or he was one of the Vachons, Stan Vachon, Freddie Sweetan. Those were the major heels, right? So when I go in as a heel, I'm traveling with those guys, right? And after one riot in St. John's, have to fight our way out of a bar in Moncton, almost have to fight our way out of a restaurant in another place. Well, I don't know how much you know Buck, right? Or you knew Buck. So you know how Buck was,
sure.
Right? If he couldn't find trouble, he'd start some, right? That was Buck. So I said to Rudy, I don't know when you had planned to switch me babyface, but tomorrow would be okay. I said, before I get cut or beat over the head with a baseball bat or something.
Yeah, ball bats are not nice. Neither are nice.
Story here. This happened in one of the guys that worked in the preliminary matches and lived in Moncton. His dad had a club there called Truckers, right? It was the second floor of this building downtown. So we come back from the matches one night. So I forget what it was. Stan Pulaski, myself,